All right. So I wanted to make a video, um, kind of just talking about why I got into jewelry and what I love about it so much. Um, Maybe some of the the things that I found difficult so far. So when I started, um, I got into a gunsmithing program, and it was a 2 year program, but it was stretched out over 4 years because I took the weekend classes. And I loved it. I loved it so much, and never been into like the newer stuff. I don't like the newer guns. It wasn't my thing. I liked the old um, hand fit parts, the old guns with beautiful wood stocks, and um, the factory made junk just never appealed to me. And when I graduated, there was a class we were trying to get started. It was an engraving class, and I thought, man, that would be kind of neat. And I had bought some engraving stuff by accident. Not not by accident, but there was a really neat tool, and this whole big lot of stuff um, was. I could get this whole big lot, and I saw that tool in the back, and I thought, oh man, like that tool's $250, and I can get this whole lot of tools for about 150. So I ended up buying the whole lot, and then I had this huge, you know, crate of engraving stuff that was very nice, pretty expensive stuff. And I thought, well, it'd be kind of neat to learn how to use this stuff. So I decided that I would take the class. And um, one thing led to another, and it led to me purchasing a pneumatic graver. And after I got started, I thought, man, I think it would be fun to make jewelry that I can engrave my own stuff onto. So that got me into making jewelry. I did not think I would like it as much as I do, and I kind of fell in love. I've always liked metalwork, and this is um, it's awesome. But there are some complications, I guess, when you want to keep it all fully handmade jewelry. It takes a long time. It takes a lot of practice, and you know, it's uh, you got to be paid for that time. And even if you get paid very little, uh, the price is still usually pretty expensive. So on this first page right here, um, this is a video I'm going to show in the background. This necklace, the chain on this necklace cost, it's a lot. It's a whole lot. But the links are very small. It is argentium, and when you go to solder links that are that close together, you know, it's kind of tough because if you get too much solder, then you'll solder three links together, and um, it's kind of very frustrating, especially for a beginner. And I was a beginner. This was one of the first chains I made. I gradually worked down and got smaller and smaller. This is a um, this is a Cuban link I made. This was one of the first chains I made, and it has a little snake on it, and the snake has little teeny tiny diamonds for eyeballs. It's a little rattlesnake. So that was one of the first things I made, and this engraved ring was the first thing I made. So I made it. It's cast into the shape of a ring, roughly, and then engraved into the ring. And then I did end up setting a few diamonds on it as well. So, you know, um, it was it was not something I meant to get into like I did. But ever since I started, it's been what I've done every single day for the past 9 months. And I was lucky enough to uh, be given quite a bit of resources to be able to do this. So um, that has helped. But you know, I'm I went to school for business originally, but I'm just not a seller. I'm a decent businessman, but I'm not a good seller. So I'm working on that. I'm also not a content creator, so please forgive me. I'm working on it. But I'm going to go ahead and play this video, and it'll be playing in the background. But, you know, I really, really enjoy handmade stuff. I always have. And I've never liked factory made junk. I've never liked bulk stuff. I like quality. I like art. And I've always been an artist. Um, even when I was a brick mason, I was a brick mason for 10 years, and I considered that art. It was hard, it was very difficult art, but I did a lot of stonework, stonemasonry, and there's definitely art to it. It's like putting together a puzzle. So, I was always very proud of what I did, and I could stand back when I was done and I could look at it and say, man, that is awesome. And then I took on a few jobs that I didn't get to do that. And it was a little frustrating because, you know, a lot of the things you did, you really couldn't step back and look at and say, man, that's really cool. Look what I did. It was always, um, you know, it was stuff that would be hidden. Um, and and to me that really tore me up because I didn't feel like I was doing anything. And I think as an artist, if you're not creating, you feel a little bit useless. And it's kind of weird to say because it's not necessarily like you're saving anybody's life. Um, and whether or not you're changing the world could be argued, but um, it's definitely not something people have to have, but it is something that brings people joy. I could argue the point that I do believe that it does change people's lives, but not in the same way that other careers do. But as an artist, it's something that I have to do. Um, so I couldn't imagine getting in this industry just to resell jewelry. It's every time I come across something that I don't have, as far as a part of the piece, I have to come up with a way to create it. And I try not to look online. I really do try to make this stuff come out of my head as much as possible. But even reusing silver, like most of this silver that I'm using at the moment is sterling silver forks and spoons and some pure silver ingots that I bought to add along with it. So it's, slightly higher than 925. But, you know, the original video I wanted to make was about, the difference between handcrafted and handmade. But honestly, I think art is art, no matter what tools you use to get to the end game. It's really a personal thing. So to me, this is handmade. All of these videos, this is what I consider handmade. But historically, I guess if you were to compare it to 18th century jewelry, maybe this isn't handmade. This, I'm using all kinds of tools to bend things and to shape things and to polish things. It's not made with AI and it's not made in a factory. And I think, to me, as handmade as you can possibly do it with your capabilities is probably good enough. I definitely wouldn't consider buying things and just connecting them together to be, that could maybe should be called hand assembled. But who am I to decide the definition of what handmade is? But this is what brings me happiness. This is really what I love, and it's like I said, it was not intentional. The first time I made a piece of jewelry, I wanted, and I can tell you, it's kind of a silly story. But me and my family went to the Biltmore House, and at the top of the Biltmore House, we've gone quite a few times over the years, but on top of the Biltmore House, there's, the Biltmores, the Vanderbilt's initials are on the top. And I thought, man, that is cool. That is super cool. And I thought, man, it would feel neat to have my own very fancy, extravagant jewelry that has my personal initials on it. So originally, that was kind of the drive, was to develop my initials in a neat way that I could display them and be proud of, who I am and my family history. So this DG right here is the DG that I designed, and I engraved it and stuck it on this ring. And that ended up becoming my logo for the jewelry brand. So it's kind of silly, but it meant a lot to me. My name means a lot to me. My history, my family history means a lot to me. And, I want to proudly display it any way I can. So, after I got to start engraving, that was a big thing, was to come up with a neat logo that was my initials. And, one thing led to another. I didn't expect that it would bring me so much joy. So when you are doing this stuff, you're really lost in it, and you can escape all the nonsense that's going on, all the stuff that happens in life. It's just, it doesn't really matter. You're fully engulfed in what you're doing, and if you love it, to me, it wasn't about money. It hasn't been about money. It would be nice to make money, but it's really about a peace of mind, and getting to explore yourself and getting to create and let some of these visions that are inside of your head, like, let them out and share them with the world, or let them, at least share them with your friends and family. Every one of these pieces that I have in this video are, they're kind of important to me and my past, and struggles or memories. Most of them are very fond memories. So they all have close ties. You know, this video was one I was trying to play with, so it had music to it um, originally, but it's looped. It started back over, so I'll have to finish up. But anyways, you know, I just wanted to do a little talk on, you know, what jewelry means to me and why I got started. And you know, if you like any of the jewelry you saw, or you would like me to try to make you something, please reach out and let me know what you got. Let me know what you're thinking. And I'd love to work with you. I'd love to play around, and maybe we could make something cool. But anyways, you all have a good night, and I'll talk to you next time. All right, bye.